This is the 19th season of Bass Talk Live. BTL is presented by Bass Cat Boats, Strike King Lures, Aftco, Pro Guide Batteries, X-Zone Lures, Shoreline Boat and RV Repair, Spro, Gamakatsu, Big Bite Baits, The Bass Tank, Denali Rods, Beatdown Outdoors, and Sunline.
BTL coming at you.
Good morning and welcome to another exciting edition of BTL Bass Talk Live, where we are going to talk about bass fishing. Recorded show today, currently kicking off a month up north. I am at the Kurt Dove Pro Bass Camp at Oneida Lake. And if you are familiar with BTL, you know that for the past, I think he's over 10 years now. I think this might be the 11th year. I think it's only the 5th or 6th year that he's done a northern one. But Kurt Dove, one of the only two-time qualifiers to the Bassmaster Elite Series, also fished the MLF Invitationals. Wanted to do a camp for kids that was like a high-end level, started it on Amistad. He now does 2 camps on Amistad, 1 up on Oneida. So I'm a camp counselor, believe it or not. Somehow someone let me be a camp counselor. So we're out on Oneida chasing smallmouth and probably keeping our limit of walleye too. So recorded show, but I wanted to get an Elite Series rookie on today's show. And one of the things that I love doing on BTL is introducing you guys, the viewers and listeners, to new anglers. And most of you guys probably already know who Brant Smith is because he's had such a great year on the Bassmaster Elite Series. Headed up north, 3 stops left, I believe 3rd place in the Rookie of the Year race, top 20 in the Angler of the Year race. And for a guy in his first year on the Elite Series, you probably can't ask for much more than that, can't you, Brian?
Man, you really can't. That was the whole thing coming into this year is I wanted to see how I stacked up against those guys. And, it's been more than I could ever ask for, ending up in 20th place so far in Angler of the Year, having a shot at Rookie of the Year. I'm pretty excited to finish this season up.
Now, we're going to get into this. You are by no means a rookie when it comes to experience. You have you've had success at every single level that you fish. You have a Toyota Series win under your belt, one from the front of the boat, one from the back of the boat, top 5 finish in the Angler of the Year in the MPFL in its inaugural season in 2021, and then top 10s littered throughout the Opens, the MPFLs, and the Toyotas. But I want you to go to that first cast at Lake Okeechobee. You ended up finishing 58 there. But what was it like to finish up at Hartwell, to be so close to punching your ticket to the Bassmaster Classic, but then have to revamp and boom, you're kicking the Elite Series season off 3 or 4 months right after you qualified? That had to be a cool experience.
Man, it really was. Everybody says it, but I literally worked my whole life to get to this to get to this level. And going out that, it's actually a day I'll never forget. It's ingrained in my mind. I was sitting at Hartwell in line to blast off after the first day. So this would be day 2. And I'm literally just like hyper focused and just looking around and seeing that this moment, like I have a chance to actually qualify for the Elite Series. It was an unbelievable experience. And to actually do it, qualify, I called my parents, I called my wife, I was bawling. I mean, dude, it was a dream come true. And, fast forward 3 months, 4 months, whatever it was, to Okeechobee, that whole whirlwind, trying to get everything in line, trying to get sponsors, boats, motors, all that stuff. That was a whole whirlwind. And then I make my first cast at Lake Okeechobee, one of the famed bass fisheries. I'd actually never been there before.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that was, I pre-practiced for about a half a day. I was in the area, so I just drove around for a half a day, looked at it. Oh my God, this place is huge. That's about all I got out of it. But I got to go blast off, and guys like Scott Martin's next to me, and Larry Nixon's next to me, and it just, I took it all in, and I enjoyed every second of it.
I kind of mentioned you're not a rookie at this. I've pulled up your MLF, we'll call them FLW, your FLW stats, and you have a win. You have a lot of top tens. You're averaging. I mean, I always like to look at the top tens per, based on how many entries, and you're averaging like a top 10 every 4 tournaments. So 25% in a top 10. And that's a strong field out there on the West Coast. Obviously the Toyota Series, little smaller fields than Toyota Series somewhere across. But I mean, you look at the names that are fishing it out there, then you look at the fisheries that you go to, absolutely stacked out there. Talk a little bit about, I mean, did that take some of the edge off, some of the Elite Series edge off, having fished against all those guys, competed with them? I think you have 5 top 10 finishes in the Angler of the Year in that Western division of the Toyota Series. So to know that you could compete with the guys who are from out West, who have been across the country and competed, that had to be kind of a little bit of a calming influence on you, at least, didn't it?
Yeah, it was. I always try to be that angler that's consistent. I was never the guy that won a lot. Mm-hmm. And I was totally cool with that. My goal was always just to be as consistent as possible, cash checks. And then when that opportunity does come to win, I'm going to try to make it happen. But top tens were definitely special for me. And it was something I always strived for out West. And, I almost, I don't know if I want to say I fished for top tens, but because obviously I wanted to win, but I definitely fished for consistency more than I fished to try and win it. I knew what I was on, and I would try to go catch what I was on, and that's always kind of been the guy that I am, and that's definitely helped me in the Elite Series. Big time. Just trying to catch what I'm on. And if I'm on, 10 pounds at Lay Lake, I'm going to go catch 10 pounds at Lay Lake. If I'm on 5 pounds at the Sabine, I'm going to go catch 5 pounds at the Sabine. And then, after that happens, we can start playing around and see how the day unfolds. But it definitely has been something that's helped me stay consistent throughout my career. And, it's definitely showed in my statistics, I guess.
That's interesting. Catch what you're on. So Gerald Swindle, and I bring this up every now and then, always says, man, he goes, I only feel like maybe every couple years I get a tournament that I can really win, where I go into it and I feel like I can win this event. He obviously doesn't work out all the time it planned. But if you're a tournament fisherman, like that's a big statement, what you just said, because you're going into some tournaments knowing that you're not on top 10 fish. Going into the tournament, or you're going into tournaments knowing that you're probably on check fish. But instead of saying, hey, I'm gonna risk it, I'm gonna try to freak show it, I'm gonna go do something that I'm not familiar with, you maximize what you're comfortable with, and as soon as you've maximized that, then you start exploring. Is that kind of the way that you look at it? So you always seem to be fishing, I don't want to use the term safe, but you're always fishing confident, and you're never getting in front of yourself.
Yeah. Actually, I mean, I think I got that. I know I got that from Gerald Swindle.
Really?
On a Bass University years ago, and that's just one of those things that has stuck with me for a very, very long time. And absolutely, that's how I do it. I go catch what I'm on. I'm not going to try to turn 2-pounders into 3-pounders, because when I do that, when I've tried to do that in the past, instead of, say, if I'm on 3-pounders, I go catch my 3-pounders and I end up in 30th place. Where if I go and try to turn those 3-pounders into 4-pounders, then sometimes I end up in 80th place, because it's just, I'm fishing for something that doesn't exist in what I'm doing right now. But, change that around. I go catch my 3-pounders. I go catch 15 pounds. Now I did that at 12 o'clock. Now I have 3 hours to go play around. I can go try and get a bigger bite, or I can go, practice a little bit, try some new stuff. So that's kind of where I get that from. And it's definitely helped hugely in my consistency in my career.
And that's something that also then makes decision making really easy.
Sometimes.
Well, I mean, when it's rolling, I mean, it's not.
Yeah.
If you go in with that mindset, with that, I mean, you're not second guessing yourself, really.
No, not at all. I'm always fairly confident in what I'm going to be able to catch because I know that that's what I'm going to go fish for. It's the times where, and I'm not on them every tournament. I wish I could
Mhm.
be, but that's just not the case. A lot of times I make it up as I go. But when I am on something, I can definitely maximize that and I can get everything out of it that I possibly can because I have full confidence in it. I don't, I'm not fishing for a ghost. I'm not fishing for something that's not there. I know what I'm going to catch and I know that I can go catch it. So that definitely it breeds confidence throughout
Mhm.
my tournament.
Are you an area guy? Like you'll find one area of the lake that you're comfortable with and then put all your practice in that area? Or are you a guy who likes to sample a little bit and then pick what you feel most comfortable with?
I do. I guess I would say I do a combination of that. Coming from the West Coast, we have tiny fisheries.
Hmm.
The biggest fishery we got is the California Delta, and that still doesn't seem that big. But everybody hears a Clear Lake, California, and they think it's this giant lake. In reality, you could run from the top to the bottom in 22 minutes. So back there, you didn't really have to pick an area. Back home in the West Coast, I never had to pick an area because I could fish the whole lake in practice. I can fish, most of the good stuff in practice. Now moving to the East Coast and fishing a lot of these, huge bodies of water. We talked about Okeechobee. Well, you got to narrow the Okeechobee down. You got to narrow it down, or else you're just going to be running around the whole time. So I do tend to pick an area based on a lot of my research. That's where that comes in. If I do get to pre-practice, that'll definitely help. And then once I've picked an area, then I like to try and find a pattern that I can run. And that's, I think, when I have my best tournaments or when I'm running a pattern and I'm fishing a lot of new water. When I'm pulling up on a point because it looked right. I was driving somewhere else and I look at a point. I'm like, I need to go fish that real quick. Takes 5 minutes. I'm going to go fish that. And then, it looked right to me for some reason. I'm going to go roll over there, make a few casts. If I catch a good one, cool. A lot of times I don't catch anything, but I'm always keeping it fresh. I definitely like
Hmm.
to do that. I don't like to get stagnant. When I get, kind of boxed in, that's when I have my absolute train wreck tournaments. That's when things go really bad because I'm trying to I'm trying to fish for something that's is really not there.
Dude, I've looked at your stats. You like don't have train wreck tournaments. Toyota
Well,
Series, NPFL, Opens, Elite Series. Like you had one sucky event in 2020 in Muskogee, Oklahoma, on the Arkansas River. Which, if there's ever a place that you could be completely get a hall pass for sucking, it would be the Arkansas River. I fished that one. It was super hot. It was when there was 170 boats
oh
in the
yeah,
lock all at once. Total disaster of an event. But other than that, like your hallmark is kind of your consistency.
yeah. And it's just the way I fish. Like I said, I don't fish for wins a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I when I do win, it's just kind of one of those things where it was meant to be, and it just kind of I can't do anything wrong. All of my major wins that I can think of, on the West Coast, obviously, it's always I couldn't do anything to mess up winning. Like I could try to not win a tournament, and it was going to happen
Mm-hmm.
regardless. But those just don't come along very often. So I'm always fishing for consistency. I'm always fishing for longevity, cash and checks. Even coming into this season on the Elite Series, I want to hoist a blue trophy. I think that's anybody in tournament fishing wants to hoist one of those bad boys. But
Mm-hmm.
I also want to stay on the Elite Series for a very long time. So I'm taking more of a patient approach and
Okay.
trying to focus on my consistency this year. Um, I don't want to have too many bombs. I want to make sure my Angler of the Year average stays high. So I do stay on the Elite Series for, however long I'd like to be on there. And then once I get that consistency up, once I get that Angler of the Year average up, then I can go start taking more chances. But, I want to be there for a long time. So I'm going to use one of my strengths, I think, is consistency. So I'm going to use that to try and stay on the Elite Series.
I don't think a lot of people understand how the staying on the Elite Series works. And when you're a rookie, boy, there's a big difference between an 80th and a 50th place finish, even though you'll never notice that. But you basically have 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let me see if I can remember how it works, because there's been a lot of changes to this over the last 3 years. It seems like there's always tweaks. But you, as a rookie, are guaranteed 2 years on the Elite Series.
Mm-hmm.
But next year you have to. How does it go with your average then?
Yeah, lifetime average on Angler of the Year.
Right. So the longer you're on the Elite Series, the more benefit you have, because once you've been on for like 5 years or something, then you get to drop a year.
Yep.
Then you get to start averaging years. So the problem is, if you're, and my buddy Jot Sokup's in that position. There's a number of guys. Gleason was in that position last year and got back on in one of the last 2 spots along with Gary Klaus. But you get to the point where you are kind of screwed if you have a really bad year to kick things off.
It's tough, yeah, because if you just look at the averages, say you have the nightmare season where you end up in 100th. Now to average out to even 50th, you have to win Angler of the Year the next year. So
they're dropping anglers, and then there's anglers whose averages are going to be higher because they're dropping their worst year. You have all sorts of different things. So really, it's a lot tougher to stay on. It is set up for the guys who have been on to be able to stay on, and you have to really prove yourself as a rookie. And then here's the other thing that you're facing, Bryant, is for this is 16th year of the Elite Series. For 14 of those years, you could get information on the fisheries up to 30 days beforehand. So now you qualify at Hartwell. You're on the Elite Series, and you cannot get any information for any of the fisheries on the Elite Series because now you're a qualified angler and that schedule's out. Yep. Well, in years past, so when Polinick was a rookie, when Zaldane was a rookie, when all those guys, you could do all this research and talk to guys and go visit. So you could kind of get up to the level of a Hackney, a KVD, an Edwin at the time, because you could get the available information that was there, totally legal. Now you're competing against these guys who have been to all the fisheries before, have been able to legally gather information on the fisheries before they went off to the off limits as suited. And you're on there and it's like, hey, congratulations. $5,000 a tournament, no information, and don't suck or else you're done after 32 days of competition.
Yeah. When you put it that way.
But I mean, is that not the truth? I mean, dude, you're going to, okay, let's pick. You're going to Seminole. That place is hard to even run around. Like, I'd be scared to put my boat in on Seminole. You're going to Santee Cooper. You're going to lakes where information, I mean, and you're going into these things blind. Heck, you top 10 Santee Cooper.
Yeah, it's definitely a challenge. There's no doubt. But I knew what I signed up for. I knew what I was in for, and I knew that I wanted to take that challenge on. And having all the information about these lakes, it's I'm sure it helps, but a lot of times I think I fish better not knowing a lot of information, because I keep an open mind on everything. The more open my mind is going into these tournaments, I think the better I do. I'm not saying I don't pre-practice. My 2 best tournaments this year were Santee Cooper and Lake Murray, and those were both tournaments that I got to spend 3 days on each one of them. And when I'm pre-practicing, we have the 28 day off limit. I'm not trying to catch fish. I'm not trying to figure out what the fish are doing then. I'm just trying to get a feel for the lake, what to expect, where things are. Where's the dirty water? Where's the clean water? Where, how to get around even. I think that's a huge thing that not a lot of people talk about is I launched my boat at Santee Cooper and I don't have any boat lanes. I don't have anything. So I'm just idling out here in the middle and guys are just running past me on plane. I'm like, I guess I'll follow that guy. Hopefully he knows where he's going, because I have no idea. All I hear is it's just a stump field out there. So I take these days, hopefully I get 2 or 3 days on these bodies of water just to look around, get comfortable navigating it, and just kind of see where everything is. And that translates to having a more efficient practice. And we got 2.5 days basically of practice, depending on how long you want to spend that last day. And when you're on the elites, you can't be wasting any time in practice. You got to always be focused on trying to break this place down. So if I know, hey, I'm getting some bites, say in some dirty water up a creek. Okay, well, in my pre-practice, I went out and I found 2 or 3 other creeks, and they were all dirty, similar scenario. So now instead of having to go find them, say there's 10 creeks that I could go look at, I already know where 4 of them are. So now my efficiency is going to go way up, and I'm not going to be wasting as much time, because I need as much time as possible against these guys. These guys they are absolutely, when people say they are the best in the world, they are not kidding. So, the efficiency factor is definitely huge with my pre-practice and stuff like that. But that's the kind of things that I need to do right now that will pay off in the long run, hopefully, and keep me on the Elite Series. And, I end up, there's only so many tournament venues that they have, right? They go back, they cycle through places often enough. So if I get to spend an extra 3 days on these bodies of water pre-practicing, that's going to help me. We're going to go back to Santee Cooper. So now I have an extra 3 days that, I can kind of bankroll and put it in the Rolodex and call on it when I need to when we go back there.
Who are you rolling with this year?
I just kind of, just bebop around, see who's got some space.
Your equal opportunity?
Pretty much. I'm not a big planner guy, so when it gets close, I usually just get on the phone and say, "Hey, you got a couch, or you got you got a place for me to stay?"
Like, how close are we talking about? Like, oh, we got to leave tomorrow. I might want to have some place to crash, or are we a week away?
Yeah, probably.
I'm in the same boat with you, man. Like, we drove to Virginia without a place to stay, and like halfway through the first practice day, I was like, we probably should find some place to stay tonight.
Yeah, I'll do a week or two in advance. I like to know at least where I'm gonna head to, but I'm not booking it.
You don't have like a group of guys. There's not like 2 or 3 that you're all getting the same house and you're all staying in the same place and sharing information and all that.
No, I just kind of get in where I fit in, and that's the cool part about the elites is the people that I have met through there, the anglers that I have met. I mean, they're so cool, so welcoming, and I know it's just because they want to take my money, but they've been awesome. They've been awesome. So it's been a really, really cool experience.
And then like I said, I did a little research before this. This is like your only gig that you've ever had. You're what, like 32 now?
32, yep.
32. So this is one of those things where it's like, I'll fish until it doesn't make sense anymore, and it's just always made sense, right? I mean, that's kind of how I got it.
100%, yeah. When I can't pay the bills anymore, that's when I quit. I'm not gonna put a bunch of debt up and rack up the credit card bills. I'm not gonna do any of that. As long as I can keep everything paid for, I'm gonna keep living the dream. And it's a heck of a motivator, because I've almost ran out of money a couple times, and I was like thinking about, well, I wonder what kind of job I'm gonna have to start looking for. But things just work out for me, man. They really do, and I've been super blessed to actually make it to the dream job, and I want to do everything I can to stay here.
That's good stuff. I say that too much. I've been working on that. I've been consciously working on saying that's good stuff on BTL. And I said it again. What I want to do is I want to take our first break of the show. When we come back, you are I'll call you a graduate of the MPFL, the inaugural season of the MPFL. They are in their 3rd season now. I've written them off 4 times, and they keep coming back as far as they keep, you know what I mean? It's like, there's no way they're going to bounce back from this. Boom, they're back. But there are a number, and there's a number on the Elite Series this year. David Gasson, John Sokup, guys who you kind of first heard of on that NPFL. You had a really good inaugural season on the NPFL. That's when I first heard your name. And I'd be interested in your thoughts on if that league kind of prepared you a little bit, helped as a stepping stone where you kind of see it fit. You good with that?
Absolutely.
All right. It is BTL with Elite Series rookie Brant Smith. We'll be back right after this.
The new Puma STS has been redesigned from the ground up. With the angler, design, function, and performance in mind, nothing on this new offering was compromised, and the only thing carried over from the previous version is the name. Based on the Soft Touch series hull that started with the flagship Jaguar, this new model is nimble and performs incredibly well at all speeds with either a 250 or 300 horsepower engine. Featuring a new 96-inch wide-body footprint, this hull measures out at 20 foot 7 inches in length. Industry-leading design coupled with tournament-winning performance. The Puma STS from Basscat. Feel the rush.
Everything you need, one legendary brand. Top one on Strike King.
So I'm a big guy, you know, a lunker, a two sandwich eating kind of man. And on behalf of all of those bigger, I gotta say it once and for all, it's bad enough that the fish look smaller in our hands. The last thing we should have to worry about is getting quality outdoor clothing that fits. Avco, any fish, any water.
Elite Series Pro Daryl Gleason here. My Pro Guide batteries keep me going on those long tournament days and long practice days. Always plenty of juice, never fail. The best part about Pro Guide batteries, it's the people behind the company. They have over 40 years experience in the battery business, keeping all of us fishermen out on the water longer, catching more fish. Check them out at ProGuideBatteries.com.
What's up, Bass Talk Live fans? Brandon Polnick here. And ever since I won a couple Bassmaster Elite Series events on X-Zone Lures, I've been getting a bunch of questions of what makes them so special and different. And really, the truth is, it's in the details. The little details, things like no cheap fillers in their plastic. That gives you more lifelike action, more realistic and vibrant colors. But don't just take my word for it. Go to www.xzonelures.com and check them out for yourself.
The great thing about the new Sensation soft plastics from Big Bite Baits, heavily scented, super soft, buoyant, comes in 7 great new shapes. I've got a couple of them of my signature series, the cliffhanger worm and the ramtail craw. Great for a flipping jig, football jig, swim jig, all that. Several other great shapes. Really excited about it. We've worked over the last year, catches fish all over the country, and I think it's going to catch fish for people everywhere you try it.
The Spro Little John crankbait has been around for almost 15 years, and it is one of my go-to crankbaits whenever I need a fish in the boat, so you can never have enough new colors. That's why Spro's coming out with a handful of new colors, including Pearl Shad, which has this bleached out white look, but it's got this pearlescent, really pretty. We've got Copper Shad, which looks amazing in the water. It's got that purple flake on the back, really pops in the water. And then if you want some real pop, we've got Sparkle Shad, nothing but sparkles all over this thing. And then last but not least, we've got the matte Sexy Shad, just a really different looking color for a crankbait. So you want to give them a little different look, that matte Sexy Shad is definitely the one to go with. All these colors are available in the original Little John and the MD.
All right, welcome back to BTL, talking with Elite Series rookie Bryant Smith. One of those ads we ran there was X-Zone for Brandon, but I know he's also an integral part of Alpha Angler and on the Elite Series. And I really think over the last 4 or 5 years has taken it upon himself to kind of be a spokesman for the sport and make sure it's headed in the right direction and take care of other anglers. Has he kind of showed you the ropes and been a friend to you on the Elite Series so far? Or has he been like cutthroat competitor, stay out of my way?
No, he's been awesome, man. Actually, a really cool moment was making the top 10 with him. And we're up there on stage, and applause happening, all that stuff, and then everybody starts funneling off, and I see him, and man, he comes over, just gives me a big hug, and we take a picture and all that stuff. And man, those are the kind of moments that really make it special.
Anybody intimidating? Like, I always feel like maybe a Christie or a Hackney or someone, any like intimidating, any guys that are still like, oh my gosh, like I hope I'm not on the same stretch as this guy on first morning.
No, I mean, nobody like that. Just, I got a lot of respect for those guys.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing, is that I have a ton of respect for all the guys that have actually made careers out of it, because it's one of the hardest things in the world to do. You're always climbing the uphill. It's always the uphill battle with trying to be a professional bass fisherman. So, yeah, I mean, I would love to show up on the same stretch as a lot of those guys, because I know I'd be around fish.
That's fair. But I just feel like back in the day, like I'm a little bit of a historian. I don't know if how far back you go, but it just feels like there was more like intimidation of the younger guys out there back in the day, like more, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Like you had to be like, crap, this is Biffle's row of bushes.
Yeah.
Now I got to find someplace else. And you go there, and then there's Ron Shuffield just giving you a snarl on the next stretch. And you're just like trying to figure out how the hell to survive all of a sudden.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I'm lucky. I don't know if I'm lucky or not, but I don't tend to find those stretches very well. So
what kind of angler?
To...
What would you describe yourself as? I mean, California can be the wide range from power fisherman to finesse fisherman. If you had to describe your style, what would that be?
I say this every time somebody asks me this, and I think my biggest strength is versatility. And that's what is bred out of California. On the West Coast, we got so many different options. We got the deep, clear water, like Lake Shasta, spotted bass fishing. We got the Delta, which is tidal, a lot of grass. You got the natural lake and Clear Lake. We got the Columbia River, so we got smallmouth fishing, stuff like that. Havasu, Colorado River, we got all that. Man, we just got everything. And you really, to be successful on the West Coast, you have to be comfortable with 6-pound tests. You got to be comfortable with 65-pound braid. You got to be comfortable drop shotting. You got to be comfortable throwing a frog, vibrating jig, everything. You really do. You have to know how to throw everything if you want to be consistent. So that's definitely something that I lean on as a strength of mine. It's just, I'm going for, obviously the Sabine wasn't a great tournament for me, but I was throwing heavy line, flip and stick, all that stuff at the Sabine. And our next tournaments, we're going to go drop shot 6 and 8 pound test up for smallmouth. And I'm comfortable with either one of them.
Did you fish all the Wild West and one bass and all that stuff out there ever?
I fished absolutely everything I could. So any big pro-am from basically when I was 19, 20 years old, any big pro-am from the front of the boat, I fished.
Okay, so you fished U.S. Opens and all that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You ever come close to winning one of those?
Not the U.S. Open. No, that's actually I've only fished that one a couple times because Meade really scared the crap out of me. Going there,
just how big it was and the stories
big,
of it.
Yeah, the big, and then the waves and all that stuff. And yeah, I was just, I don't need to drive down there for that one. But actually now I can't wait. Like I'm going to try and fish it this year. And that's
on Mojave again, right?
I think so. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're going to keep it on Mojave. But that's like the one tournament that I'd really, really want to win. That's the pinnacle of the West Coast for sure.
Yeah, that does not get the national attention that it deserves, I don't think.
No, and you've won it one year, right?
No, AAA. AAA doesn't count.
Hey, that's a win.
Count.
That's a win.
I went to experience it. I experienced it. I got great draws and caught 11 pounds a day, added to the creel each day. But no, I don't consider that a win.
That's still pretty impressive.
My goal is to fish it from the front of the boat. Like as soon as the schedule allows for me, that's my goal, is to tow the Bass Cat to anywhere, wherever it is, and fish that event from the front.
Yeah. People that haven't fished that tournament, like you can't really describe what that tournament is all about. It's such a one-off tournament. It is such a special deal, especially Like, there's nothing wrong with Mojave, but when it's on mead, it's something else. It is the coolest experience.
And I wasn't there last year when Bertrand won it, but I would be interested. I talked to some guys who said it still had that feel. I talked to some other guys who were like, part of that feel is going through the narrows, knowing you have to go across the bay in 4-footers. And are you going to the gypsum beds? Are you going to, are you going to make the run to over? Like, they're like, that's the whole part. Like, you're running past, hey, that's where Tom and Pam and Tommy did their video. It's all that stuff added to the aura, plus then staying in Vegas, the whole 9 yards. But no, that's a bucket. If you haven't done that, and I've said this before, like I said, the AAA thing was a great experience for me because it's one of the few events where, like, when you catch one, it adds to your partner's creel, and when they catch one, it adds to your creel. It's considered a AAA deal, so it's not like boater co-angler. You actually like work in tandem with your boater. So you're not taking fish from them. They're not taking fish from you. It's actually a weird kind of team dynamic that you have going on that day. And if you have the time off and want to fish as a AAA, I would highly recommend signing up for the US Open or any of those AAA events out on the West Coast.
Absolutely.
It's good stuff.
Absolutely. That's the coolest tournament.
Speaking of another league, let's talk about the National Professional Fishing League. You're a graduate of that. Now, you just fished it the inaugural year, right?
I fished the first 2 years.
First 2 years. So you were fishing it the same year that you qualified for the Elite Series, and you fished it. Yeah. Then you fished Eastern. Was it the Eastern or the Northern Division that year?
Southerns.
Oh, I was wrong on that. The Southern Division. Well, they put Hartwell. They mix up the divisions like it made no sense.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on the MPFL? Like I said, we've got, I'm going to leave some guys out, but David Gaston, yourself, John Soka, very prominent guys on the MPFL who are now making their mark on the Elite Series. We've seen Keith Carson. He's on the Invitationals, a bunch of different guys over on MLF side too. But from the outside looking in, it looks like that league has delivered on what they intended to be.
Absolutely. Yeah. I don't think I qualify for the Elite Series if I don't fish the MPFL. They, just the whole circuit really taught me how to fish on the East Coast. It forced me to learn how to fish on the East Coast because, a bass is a bass, and you can always say that. But there is a definite difference, especially like the regional stuff. Coming from the West Coast, I have to learn how to go catch blueback herringfish. I have to go learn how to ledge fish on the TVA. There's a lot, Florida fishing is totally different than everything. So there's a lot of things that I needed to learn. And the MPFL was just, it really set up kind of as a perfect opportunity for me to go and learn how to fish all these places, still make some money doing it if I can compete. And the tournaments were run perfectly. They were ran great. And like I said, I don't think without the experience that I gained from the MPFL, I don't think I qualified for the elites. I really don't, because they really, I don't want to call it a stepping stone because I would have been totally happy fishing the MPFL. Even if I didn't qualify, I would have tried to fish the Opens and the MPFL somehow. But it wasn't really a stepping stone, but it was definitely a big learning experience that I got, and I got to fish for a great organization while I was doing it.
And you made some money at it too. I did third the first year, fifth the second year in the Angler of the Year, and I mean, I think you had 6 or 7 top 10 finishes in the MPFL over that 2 year span. So
yeah, it was it really was an awesome experience, and like I said, it just exposed me to a lot of the different fishing that I knew. If you want to compete on a national circuit, you got to know how to do it all. So that really, they just gave me the opportunity, and I took it, and it really worked out well.
I'm never counting them out ever again. Like,
no, you can't.
Them out. They've had like lakes that came up 10 foot that canceled days. They've had championships canceled. They've had they've had every possible excuse to say, you know what, we gave it the best run as we could, but we're packing up shop. They keep bouncing back. They're unbeatable. They're like they're like a snake that like you can't kill it. You ever tried to kill a snake and you're like, why won't it die? But I say that in a good way because they keep coming back and they keep pumping out anglers.
They do.
Look what it's done for like Sheldon Collins this year and things like that. Like it's good stuff.
Oh, dude, there's a ton of money to be made over there. And you know, like you said, if they haven't folded up right yet, I just don't think it's going to happen. There's just no quitting those guys. They're the ownership group. They don't have any quit. And, you know, I would love to actually fish both the NPFL and the Elite Series if I could swing that. That would be, it'd be a great deal because, they're going to be there for the long haul. They got great payouts. You know, they've always had really good payouts. Now they're giving away $100,000 in every event. I mean,
yeah,
that's hard to say no to.
All right. You talk about experience. You've talked about your strategy. You've talked about pre-practice. There's one portion of the country where you don't really have that much experience in. And this is where the Rookie of the Year title, the Bassmaster Classic is all going to be decided. And it's Lake St. Clair, Lake Champlain, and the St. Lawrence River, the North, 2 events in New York, 1 event in Michigan. Are you going to go pre-practice any of that? I think, yeah, you can still pre-practice some of them. What's the game plan for tackling like true northern smallmouth fisheries?
Yeah. So it was, it's going to come down to me catching brownfish for sure. And that was definitely a big question mark coming into this year. You know, I'm not worried about catching fish. You know, I know it's going to be a great tournament. You know, there's going to be a lot of fish caught. But targeting bigger smallmouth is not anything that I've really tried to focus on before. It's nothing I've really had to focus on before. So I actually, after the Sabine, I drove up to St. Clair and I spent 4 days out there. Did some graphing, did some fishing, just trying to get comfortable with fishing up there. Again, just learning the area, kind of know where everything's at. And then after that, I went to Champlain, spent 4 days there, graphed around, fished a little bit. And then after that, it's actually a funny story. So I go up and I'm looking at all the regulations because I know Canada has an off limits. They got a season for bass, stuff like that. I'm like, okay, cool. So I look at the New York regulations because I know Canada's off limits. I can't fish in Canada. So I go and look at the New York ones. I'm like, oh, well, the New York says it's open. I just fished Champlain. That was cool. We're all good there. So I'm going to go to St. Lawrence and I'm going to go spend 4 or 5 days there and go catch some big smallmouth, graph around a little bit. And I get there and I launch my boat and I'm all excited. Like there was nobody there. It was kind of weird. And there's a sign next to the launch ramp that's got a picture of a smallmouth bass on it. And I almost walked right by it. And I did. I ended up going and looking at it and it said, St. Lawrence County and Jefferson County bass season was June 15th. And I was there on June 11th. And I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. I got to go look at these fish and not be able to catch them the whole time. This is not fun. So it was actually a blessing in disguise because instead of fishing, I actually did what I needed to do, which was graph around, look for where they're going to be in 2 months as opposed to actually just having fun. I did go fish.
That had to suck.
Dude, it was so bad. So there was a windy day and I stayed in the river and I'm like, well, this is river fishing. I don't really need to graph around here. So I grabbed a flogger and I just ended up staring at bass on beds, just looking at them down there. I was like, oh, hey, I can't do anything. You're not even moving, but you're like 5 pounds. This is great. This is awesome. I love staring at fish, not being able to fish for them. Oh, it was horrible. It was horrible. But I did get there on the opener and it was all it was cracked up to be. I did go fishing on the 15th and man, that I'm excited.
30-pound bag?
No, only 26.
Oh, only 26.
Yeah, it was a tough day, I guess. dude, it was insane. It was by far the best smallmouth bass fishing I've ever experienced. But and it was a blessing in disguise, because I know myself and my self-control, and if I knew those fish were sitting there up shallow and I could catch them on a hair jig, or I could catch them on a striking half shell, I know I would be up there fishing and not doing what I need to be doing, which was graphing around the lake.
All right, I'll take your word for it. Blessing in disguise. We'll take our final break of the show. When we come back, you mentioned a couple sponsors. I do want to talk about the sponsorship game as an Elite Series rookie, how that's going, and kind of your thoughts on growing, learning that side of the game. So it is BTL with Elite Series rookie Bryant Smith. We will be back right after this.
Having confidence in your tackle while on the water is one of the main things to success, in my opinion. In the last couple of years with Denali, I've had just that. From anything from spinning rods, casting rods, tungsten products, even now to casting and spinning reels, I have the confidence to go out there and get the job done and know that all my equipment is going to handle it and do it just the way I want it. The thing about Denali is you've got great quality products at a great price point, so make sure you check them out.
Are you looking to install your own fishing electronics? The solution is the Bass Tank Power Harness. It takes the guesswork out of installation. No more voltage issues or interference. Designed by an engineer so that you can get professional results right there in your own garage. Installation done right with the help of the Bass Tank Power Harness. You can feel confident knowing that your installation was done right. The Bass Tank Power Harness. Give us a call or order yours today at thebasstank.com.
Get the best patterns backed by tournament data. Start by finding the best 10% of your lake. Know exactly what to look for and what to throw. After that, just put them in the boat. Try the Deep Dive app today.
Look at that beast right there.
Have you considered purchasing new electronics for your rig? The type of mounts you choose to protect your investment should be part of the decision-making process. No matter if you prefer 1, 2, or 3 graphs up front, Beatdown Outdoors has a solution for you. Adjustable, versatile, rigid, and made in the USA. What's your ultimate electronics setup? Check out the full selection of Beatdown Outdoors products by visiting beatdownoutdoors.com. Shoreline Boat and RV, dock rash, storm damage, collision repair, that deep scratch or gouge from trying to access that secret creek. Shoreline Boat and RV can get your prized possession back in mint condition and looking good on the water, fast. All repairs are done in-house, so they're able to get your boat or RV back to brand new, quickly. All Shoreline's work comes with a rock-solid warranty. Find out more at shorelineboatandrv.com. Kansas City, Austin, and Tulsa.
I'm the kind of guy that never leaves the house without a pocket knife, and Gamakatsu's come out with the EDC series of knives. EDC stands for Everyday Carry, so whether you're on the water or off, you can always have it with you. The best thing about it to me is that assisted open feature. With this D2 blade, you've got it right here at your fingertips, so if you can't find your scissors, you need to cut a knot, you need to cut your braid, you've always got it. Make sure you check it out. Never leave home without your Gamakatsu EDC knife.
Born in Japan, using technology, innovation, and precision, Sunline produces the widest selection of fishing lines at the most technologically advanced line factory in the world. Manufactured at the strictest tolerances to produce victories at the highest levels of tournament bass fishing. From household names like Christie, Swindle, and Cruz, to young guns like Cook, Logan, New, and Welcher, they all trust Sunline to take them to the top of the leaderboard. Choose the line that will give you the strength to guarantee your confidence. Sunline.
All right, we are back with Brant Smith. I meant to like lead or bring this up earlier, but kind of my first interaction with you, I was very impressed because I had broken a brake pad at Hartwell. This was after the final day.
Oh yeah.
Do you even remember this?
Yeah.
And you had literally just missed if you finished second in the event, and you were like, dude, what can I do to help? Yeah, you had no clue who I was. Like I had not met you. I just stood next to you in the bag line before, and you were willing to like drop everything if I needed any help. You were like, what can I do? Can I do anything to help? Is there anything I could do? And I'm like, no, dude, I'm good. Like I can figure it out. Like I've driven on worse, but it made an impression to me that, like, I mean, out of all that, like, you would drop what you were doing to try to take care of someone that you didn't really know. So that at the time really impressed me, meant a lot to me. So thank you very much for doing that.
Yeah. No. I've been that guy, I'm pretty hard on my stuff, and everybody knows me as the guy that breaks everything. So I need that help a lot. So having it offered is just kind of the full circle deal.
If there's anything mechanical that I thought you might have been able to assist me with, I would have taken you up on it, because I am not mechanically inclined when it comes to the vehicles or boats or motors or anything like that. Like, I mean, I have to, my skill set is limited, is what I'm trying to say, Bryant.
I'm the same way, but trying to help when I can, man, because I've been there.
I hear you. All right. Sponsorship wise, you make the Elite Series sponsors started calling out of the woodwork, offering you 5 and 6 figure deals, and now you're just rolling in it. That's kind of how it goes.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I actually had to decline a lot of calls they were offering. They weren't offering enough. No. Contrary to popular belief, it's not as easy as it looks. But it's definitely been a learning process for me, and it's kind of actually been a lot of fun. The whole marketing thing, the business side of fishing was definitely new to me. It's not something that I focused on a lot, and I had a couple opportunities kind of fall into my lap. My co-title sponsors, couple companies that I actually know the owner of it, and in Meridio and Decisely, and they're actually online health insurance brokers.
Really?
And they not so much. It's not endemic, which is cool.
Yeah.
But it does relate to bass fishing, because they actually, both of them, they specialize in 1099 gig workers, stuff like that, small business owners, and small business in general. If you own a small business, they actually, that's what they aim to do, is help provide coverage for small businesses. It save you some money, and we're all trying to save some money whenever we can. And a lot of anglers own their own companies. A lot of them own construction companies, or whatever, small businesses. So it's not an endemic in the sense that it's fishing related, but it definitely, those two companies definitely, they make sense for fishing.
I hope I found it. That's it, isn't it?
That's the one. Yep. That's
okay.
Meridio.
I was trying to look at your hat, and I was like, that looks like the same font.
Yeah. That's Meridio, and then the other one is Decisely. It's powered by Decisely. DECISELY.
Okay.
I believe. I think it's powered by Decisely.
This looks correct.
Yep, that's the one. Yeah. So both of those have been, everybody says it, but it really is a true statement. I wouldn't be fishing the Elite Series without their support. Their support has been huge for this year. They gave me a lot of comfort going into this year, and it's worked out well. And hopefully, me learning the business side of it and the marketing side of it, I can, keep the relationship growing and keep it going. And, that's with all my sponsors as well, because everybody, it wasn't the getting the phone calls and stuff like that, but everybody stepped up. All of my sponsors stepped up, and everybody, Ranger Boats, Mercury, everybody, Alpha Angler, they're new for this year. They've been amazing. Lose Striking, everybody, the whole team, man. And it really does take the whole team to make these seasons work, and to give you that level of comfort to where, I can just focus on the fishing now. I don't have to focus on making a check or something like that.
Anything else you want to get in here?
Man, no, I'm just excited to be here, man. It's really cool. I've been listening to BTL for years.
Really?
I'm a bass nerd,
Well,
I'm ate up with it.
What's I know I'm getting old in this deal. I was talking to some guys at the Classic, and they were like, yeah, we've been listening to you since we were 11. And I was like, oh yeah, been around a minute now. And they're like grown adults now.
Yeah.
So
It's cool, man. It's cool to be on here. I really appreciate you having me on. It's definitely, one of those podcasts where you listen to it your whole life. And man, if I'm on that one day, that'll be, I kind of made it when you get invited onto this deal. So it's been really cool. I've had a lot of those moments this year where, you just kind of feel like you made it a little bit.
I mean, that has to be when they do that top 10 at the end of day 3 and they bring you all out on stage like that. To me, you always see those guys who have been there a million times and they appreciate it. But you can tell, like, when you watch those guys, their first couple top 10s getting brought back out on stage is like, dude, I got a shot at this thing and there's only 10 of us left.
Yeah. And one of the cool things that you don't see is actually what Mercer does behind the stage. You go up, everybody lines up, and then we all get up in line, and they call us up, and Mercer's actually standing there 1.5 to 2 feet away from you, reading down your stat line from his mind. I still don't know how he does that. He knows everybody's stats. It's incredible. But yeah, like, he pumps you up before you get out there. It's one of those things that you don't see, if you're watching the live stream, but man, it's a really, really cool moment. And, just overall, I've just been soaking this whole year up. It's been an amazing experience, and can't wait to keep it going.
I want to put the cart ahead of the horse here, but I mean, is the Classic something that since you were a kid, you've always envisioned yourself walking across that stage?
Yeah. That one, man, that was the goal this year. Rookie of the year would be awesome. Angler of the year, awesome. All that. Winning a trophy would be awesome. But I think I visualized more times me going into that stadium, wherever it was, and standing on the Classic stage. I've envisioned that more than anything else. And that's the one that I can't, I've been losing sleep over it. I really have.
Because you got your 9 days away.
I know. And when you put it like that, that's just crazy to me. That's just so crazy.
And it's on a fishery that you finished 3rd at in the NPFL in 2021 on Grand. So it's a fishery that you have days on too. Different time of the year, granted, but you still have days on it. You have success. You know what it's like to bring in a big bag on Grand Lake.
Yeah. That would be the cherry on top, because I really enjoy fishing Grand Lake. I think it sets up really well for me. So I'm going to do everything I can to catch as many brown fish that I can to make it there at the end of the year. And hopefully we get to go across that Classic stage.
Yeah, it's crazy. The points are stacked up from like you all the way down to 40th like that. It's a real interesting year. There's really not any separation throughout the whole, from the top down. There's really no separation this year. You see sometimes it kind of stratifies where it's like, okay, these guys are in. Doesn't matter. They could suck the last couple events. These guys are top 10 angler of the year. And this year, there's really no gaps in the standings.
No, it's super close. And it's funny because it is the easiest thing in the world to go and fall 20, 30 places there. But to get those 20 or 30 places back, man, it almost feels impossible. So I just got to keep with the consistency game. And
well, you're less than 20 points out of the top 10. That's one fish.
Yeah. I try to look ahead of me and not so much behind me on that list, but it's
well, the other crazy part is there's you look at the top 10, Shakura is probably you could throw Hunter Shryock in there too, but he likes Florida and largemouth too, but the smallmouth gurus, the northern gurus, like, they're not in the top 10 right now.
No, they're going to get there, though, by the end of this.
I mean, you got guys like Rivette and Cook, Will Davis Jr., Drew Benton, and then, your Poliniks and your Johnson brothers and Seth Fighters. It's going to be fun watching the last 3. It's probably not going to be as much. Heck yeah, it'll be fun competing in it, I guess, too.
It's going to be awesome. It's going to be stressful, but it's going to be awesome. And, this is, I don't think we've ever seen an Angler of the Year list look like this at this point. It's a lot of new faces, which is really cool, because I'm a fan of the sport. So I've always watched Bassmaster and all that. And, I know, obviously we all know who the players are, but, to see a lot of the new faces up there, man, it's pretty cool. And coming down to this home stretch, it's been largemouth dominated until this point. So I think we're in for a big shakeup over these next 3.
Bryant, I greatly appreciate the time on BTL. Best of luck as you venture north to wrap up your rookie season and hopefully procure your first Bassmaster Classic spot in 2024.
I appreciate it. And that's the plan.
All right. We'll talk to you later.
All right. Have a good one.
All right. See ya. All right. That is Brant Smith, California rookie. And it's been a while since we've had a, now I'll throw Andrew Loberg in that mix. Let's throw Andrew Loberg in that mix. He's doing some big things over at the Invitationals, the MLF Invitationals, but a younger California rookie coming out making waves on the national level. Like I said, recorded show today. We will be back. I think we'll probably run this. We'll be back tomorrow with a new live show. What you guys have to do. This will be the first week of July, but stay tuned to basszone.com. Have the schedule up there. Also, we'll be posting it on my Instagram, just @BatPancrack. We're going to be mixing in a lot of live shows over the next 3 weeks. Live on-location shows from New York, from Orlando, ICAST, from the St. Lawrence River, maybe even from Frank Scalish's house. Who knows? All right, this has been another edition of BTL. We'll talk to everybody later. See ya.